welcome to our Women in Healthcare Leadership Spotlight Series. Today, we are joined by the wonderful Brenna Erdmann. Brenna is a Senior Associate General Counsel with Optum Health, and we are so excited to have you join us this afternoon. I would love to hear a little bit about yourself. Can you tell us your background and your path to law school and anything else you'd be willing to share?
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Well, I went to St. Ben St. John's here in Minnesota for undergrad, and I was pre-law. I was a communications and political science double major, and I graduated in a time of recession. So lots of people that I trusted said, maybe don't go on to postgraduate right away. So I deferred my admittance and I actually worked at Optum in the business side of things for a few years, which was a wonderful foundation for me to kind of understand corporate, understand business. I got really passionate about healthcare at that point, just having the chance to work as a project manager and business analyst in the business side and really see the growth and opportunity, the patient experience, all that good stuff for a couple of years. And then when my deferral of my admission was going to run out, I decided I better go for it. So I joined the evening program here at William Mitchell College of Law. It was a really, really cool opportunity because I was able to keep working. And for the first year, I went at night and I got to meet everyone in my cohort was second career. So just really cool connections, really interesting people. I don't know how people were juggling it with, later stage careers and families and all of that, but it was inspiring and really helped me forge a lot of great relationships. And then I transferred into the day program and finished up in 3 years. From there, I clerked in law school and realized I really liked the corporate environment. So I wanted to kind of stay on that path. So post law school, I worked in contracts, which I was kind of drawn to the negotiation, the project execution side of contracts, and now later transactions. And that's been a through line through my career that I've focused on. I really like to start a project. It's the same as business analysis. You understand the requirements, you understand your stakeholders, and you have a really clear end goal in sight. And I love to be able to complete a project. Whether it's executing a contract, my contract management days, or now executing a transaction. So I worked government contracts for a little while and then moved into the private equity space, which was amazing and fast and just incredible learning and so fast paced. So that was a really good opportunity. And I did that for 5 years, moving up into a general counsel role at a small investment firm. And post pandemic, when the landscape was shifting a little bit, I decided it was time for something new and came back to Optum Health at that time. I worked in the mental health care space, the behavioral care industry for the first couple of years here, doing transactions and learning a ton about that space. And then now I run the function of the Optum Health transactional team for our smaller projects, our smaller acquisitions, and also advocating for the Optum Health stakeholders on our larger transactions too.
Can you give us a peek into your day-to-day role at Optum, what a typical day looks like in the life of Brenna Erdmann?
Yeah, of course. So I now run a small but mighty team of a few attorneys and a paralegal, and we work with all the different groups who are acquisitive across Optum Health. So they cover different regions within those groups, and then I, assist, oversee, issue escalation and resolution, all that good stuff. We usually have about like 10 to 15 transactions at a time. So it's pretty rapid. And it's been a really interesting time of growth, of change in the industry. And so it ebbs and flows all the time. But I get to oversee and have my hands in lots of different projects at any given moment. And I get to be a mentor too, which I really enjoy.
Brenna, what are you most proud of to date in your career?
I am really proud of the way that I have learned how to work with people, all people, valuing relationships, understanding where people are coming from, trying to see the motivations and emotional impact and um, try to understand where people are coming from, especially when it's a difficult situation or a high tension situation, or maybe a really challenging counsel on the other side of a transaction. I've learned a lot about people and what they need and what they hope for in this job. And it's been very cool to be able to try to instill that focus in the people that I work with and that I have a chance to mentor as transactions are never too challenging in the logistical sense. It sometimes is the people, right? That can be a really challenging thing. And so being able to manage relationships and help people with their own goals and whatever they care about is something I'm really, really proud of more than any of the technical stuff that I do.
What's shifting our focus to healthcare specifically? What skills or prior experiences do you think have made you especially effective in the healthcare space?
Healthcare is so complicated. Um, it's exciting to me because there's always something new to learn about, and there's always something, these days I'm asking like AI, hey, give me a summary on this, very obscure piece of regulatory landscape in the healthcare industry. And in doing transactions, you have to understand what the businesses that the assets are in, or the entity is performing, right? The services that are actually at play here, so that you can make an effective purchase agreement and negotiate effectively and all that. So understanding the healthcare landscape, I think, is constantly challenging, but it's also very fulfilling because it's mission based, right? There are people at the other end of everything that we do. So I find it to be much more fulfilling for me personally than working in another industry where there wasn't healthcare on the other side. There wasn't, someone's 14th doctor's appointment for the same, condition, or someone's claims that they're trying to get processed at the end of this. So trying to help people in this industry, I think, is really motivating, and there's always something new to learn about. But to try to help is the bottom line.
Yeah, certainly always something new and challenging in
Yeah.
healthcare. In a large healthcare organization like Optum, where legal often has to work with many divisions, whether it's clinical, operations, compliance, or product teams, what has helped you build credibility and influence decision making with non-lawyers?
That is always a challenge, right? There's so many different groups, so many different experts and SMEs and parties involved. I try to look at it as a really positive thing, right? When I was in different roles that had much smaller teams, if I needed an expert on tax or an expert on real estate or privacy, I would have to find them, enlist their help, and call them. And so I try to really look at it, and pay for it, right? But here internally, we have experts in just about everything. And I try to really look at it that way as, yes, we have a lot of people that we have to involve in our transactions and our projects and changes that we make. You have to get a lot of sign-offs and approvals. But at the same time, you also have all of this talent and skill at your disposal for everything that you work on, which is good to remember when you're going through the motions of all the approvals and all the check-ins.
Shifting focus a little bit towards mentorship, can you speak to the best mentor you've ever had and what you learned from them?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say my most impactful mentor was my manager that I had when I came into Optum in the behavioral care space. And she taught me everything that I know about doing transactions in this landscape. I had a lot of transactional experience, and I knew a lot of the mechanics, and I also knew a lot about startups and flipping companies and all kinds of good stuff from my prior life, as well as contracts too. But coming in here and being able to understand, what a clinic or a healthcare asset is, understand the needs, understand the stakeholders and the seller motivations, and get all the right parties involved, like we were just talking about, all the right relationship management, and building trust pieces of it. I mean, she really guided me and mentored me through all of that. And I'd say she's still my most valuable mentor today, where I go to her with totally unrelated questions to her specific job, and I'll be like, "Hey, can you just help me with this? Because I know that you'll know, right? I know that you'll know what to do next." And I think everyone should find those people that they just really, really trust to be a guiding light for them in their career.
I couldn't agree more with you and the value of a good mentor. In a similar vein, what do you think makes for a good mentor? What characteristics should they have, and how do you become a good mentor?
Yeah. I think the best mentors that I have had have been really open to meeting me where I'm at and understanding my goals, right? Whether it's how do I progress to a specific point in my career in a few years, or teach me how to network so I can apply for a job, right? Like I've had some mentors that are just extremely motivated to help me as a person and as an individual with individual goals and needs. And that's been really, really cool. I have been really privileged to have several amazing mentors through my career that have absolutely led me to where I am now.
At this point in your career, I've seen you've accomplished a lot. You've been very successful. Um, what would be your most valuable piece of advice to a woman looking to enter into the healthcare and life sciences industry?
Thank you. First of all, that was so kind. Thank you. Um, it's fun to kind of sit back and be like, "Oh, I've hit some milestones. That's so kind."
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, I really appreciate that. I would say I've reflected on this a little bit recently through a couple of different groups that I'm in. I'm in a group of, M&A females in the local Twin Cities area that gets together and kind of talks about challenges and opportunities and all that stuff. And this industry, this specific function is really, really still a difficult landscape and a place for women to work. I think I've hit many, many instances of discrimination or, stereotyping and all that awful stuff that we don't want to hear about, but we can imagine, right? And I think my advice for someone, especially a young woman trying to get into this space, is first of all, you're good enough. I think that every single person who has an open mind, a motivation to succeed, and a willingness to learn can do this. Sometimes you talk to someone at some event, they're like, "Oh, you do mergers and acquisitions in healthcare." Like, oh my goodness. It's not harder than anything else. It's just you have to be committed to learning the skill and constantly motivated to work hard, right? But I think anyone can do it. So just believe in yourself, right? But then the second piece I would say is find a champion for your growth in the industry. Like find someone you trust, whether it's a man or a woman, or a non-binary person. Find someone that you trust in the industry that can give you advice, bring you into rooms where networking happens. You really can't do it alone. Like you really have to make those connections. If you're just cold applying to roles, you're never going to get them, right? This is an industry based on connection. And I try to be that for people when I meet young people, even if they're not, in my exact niche area. I mean, connection is all we can give each other, right? So find connection, believe in yourself, and it's yeah, it's hard, but it's fulfilling too. So I would be really encouraging of that, and also just motivating in that way. Like you can do it. You really can, because I know it's intimidating, but it doesn't have to be.
Well, thank you so much, Brenna. We really appreciate you being so generous with your time, and your insight is invaluable. So sincerely, we appreciate it.
Of course. Oh my goodness. Happy to be here. This was really fun.